If you can memorize and have your VSL and your funnel and all the different things, and you got the details of your business, but you don't have the details of your family, you messed up. Yeah. You missed the whole game, bro.
In this episode, Alexi and Preston share key parenting strategies that help them put family first while balancing life and business. Learn about attachment theory and the difference between having children and being a parent. Discover the rituals and methods they use to raise happy and connected kids.
I'll translate that to fathers, being a testament to what's possible as a man. You can be successful, you can be connected to your partner, you can be happy, like actual happiness and gratitude, not just like, oh, I'm getting through the day, right? And then actually care about your children.
Men have a tendency to want to be the lone hero, the Clint Eastwood, the guy on the top of the mountain who holds and does everything. And this sort of Western idea that I'm supposed to be the lone person who breastfeeds as a man and also, makes the money and does 12,000 different things. It's so stupid and outdated, and it doesn't work. So one of the biggest pieces for me is just going, I can't do it all.
So my boys will go, are you okay? And I'll say, yeah, buddy, everything's fine. And everything's not fine. So I'm basically telling my boys, you actually are dialed in enough to get it, but don't trust yourself. So you're off, you're wrong. It's like, I see that as almost like gaslighting kids. So I'm going to open up this question to both of you, which is, it could be your relationship to your dad. It could also be other dads you've seen operate that you're very impressed by. But the topic would be fatherhood. And we can certainly talk about UP and how you see Preston. But I want to give it like a wide range to invite in whatever feels good for you. But like, who's an amazing father and why? Like, how does that, same that we're talking about in relationship, but how does that show up as a dad? And I'll give, let me just layer in my own story here for a little context too, because I've realized that speaking of truth to kids, I've not only experienced this personally, I've seen it in other people, but a kid will ask his parent like, hey, is everything okay? And so I'll just use myself, right? So my boys will go, are you okay? And I'll say, yeah, buddy, everything's fine. And everything's not fine. So I'm basically telling my boys, you actually are dialed in enough to get it, but don't trust yourself.
Right.
So you're off, you're wrong. It's like, I see that as almost like gaslighting kids. So can I speak my truth to my kids? Of course, age appropriate and within reason, but that's what I mean by like my work is trying to be in that place and understand my energy and how it relates to my kids and that dance that we have. So it's why I'm asking the question, because I'm trying to follow the thread here. So you can take it anywhere you want, but like, what makes a great dad a great dad in your experience? I don't know who wants to start with that one.
I'll speak to this. I grew up in a neighborhood with like 100 boys. And of the 100 boys, 3 of us had present fathers. My father, struggled with drug addiction, lots of cheating, lots of lying, all kinds of stuff. So this is not what we would call a perfect man. But my father, during the time that it counted the most, was the basketball coach, the baseball coach. He drove us to the dances. When he caught me smoking weed, he didn't hurt me or punish me. He made me think about it. He asked me, is that the life you want? Because if you do what the boys in the corner are doing, you're going to get their life. He poured into me often, to the point where we can now look back. I'm 44 years old. One of my best friends sleeps on the side of a freeway right now. Elliot. The only boys who made it out of that neighborhood who are successful, me and the other 2 with present dads. And I had the most present dad. And could be considered the most successful. And so all of them had powerful moms. All of them had grandmothers and moms and all of that stuff. But there's something about a household that does not have a pillar that they can lean on.
Yeah.
That is one of the most important pieces. The teacher this morning came up as I was getting my morning kisses for drop off. And Miss Sonia, she walked up and she said, he's been doing so amazing. since you guys had that talk with him. Right? Oh, both of us had to talk with him, but I stay on him. Hey, I'm right here, and it's not going to work. They flip out. Oh, I'm going to kill myself. All this crazy kid stuff. It's been multiple times where I'll take my kids out, one of them, out into the darkness in the woods, and I'll sit them down, and I'll get on the ground, and I say, hey, you want to act up? We're going to do it right here. I'm not leaving you, but this isn't going to work in our house. While they don't like it in the moment, that's only creating closeness. And to me, all of us are constantly looking for the conscious mom or dad we never had. Yeah. And so a good, epic dad is not a dad that doesn't make, or father that doesn't make mistakes. It's a father that is enough of a pillar and understands to the degree that he can the stages that their children are in, right? Like when my daughter is 13, 14, 15, 16, and her boobs are growing and hormones are pumping and she's wanting to talk about boys and X, Y, and Z, I'll be there. But I understand that my role is probably not to go into the depths of what it means to have a period or a menstrual cycle. That's going to be her job. As our boys.
I want to jump on that though. But how our daughter learns is how he treats me during my cycle. Yeah. How we hold it in the house. Yeah. Right. And so it is important. So he won't directly be like, hey, this is what you do. But she's learning indirectly every single day. Yeah. So big. Sorry. Keep going.
Yeah. So all that to say, I think there are billions of amazing fathers out there. I think that probably the overwhelming majority of the ones that are listening to this podcast right now, amazing fathers. Because it starts with intention.
Gentlemen, Front Row Dads Live is coming up December 4th through the 6th in Austin, Texas. It's a one-of-a-kind event for men who want to win at home and in business. After last year's event, one of our attendees, Eric, said, Front Row Dads Live created the perfect space to go deep with other men, and it inspired massive changes in every area I needed it. Here I found community, purpose, and a better understanding of who I am meant to be as a father, husband, and leader. Go now to frontrowdads.com/live for more information.
I had a friend, this is the last piece I'll say. I had a friend many years ago. He hit his kid for the first time, and he came back to our men's group, and he was broken. He was so down. I hit him. I was mad. He just was off the charts, and I just reacted and I hit him. And I said, brother, man, nature is violent. You look at ants, you look at horses, you look at a dog, what that mother will do with that if that dog tries to get out of line or steal the food or whatever. It's not wrong or bad that you reacted. The issue is in how you clean it up. Yeah. The issue is the lesson you learned from it. The issue is what was happening a month before, 2 months before, 2 minutes before, where you weren't attuned to what was happening inside of you to have that reaction. Now, there's a book called No Drama Discipline, and they speak to how children don't get traumatized by big moments if, when they are back to regulation, that parent describes and helps them understand why they did what they did. So they give the example of your kids running out into the street chasing a ball. You see that there can be a car that hits your child. You go, no! And you scream as loud as possible and you grab them and you pull them in. Now, that could be scary for a kid.
Sure.
So, okay, now everybody has to come back to regulation. But once that child is regulated, you say, hey, mommy or daddy did that to save you. You could have been hurt. I'm so sorry if I scared you, but here's why. Yeah. To me, this whole conversation, I think that men have the bar so high and they think they need to just be walking on water all day, every day. I think there's billions of great fathers, including myself and you. And one of the things I told her about, I went on a boat with you, me, you, and Mike and his son, and your son didn't come. And you sat on that boat and you asked questions, not just to Mike, to me, and to Tyler. I came back. I said, this dude is such a good dad. Like, that's something I didn't tell you that. I didn't make note of it. I just literally was like, wow, that's a good father. Hey, Tyler, how can I get closer to my son? Hey, what am I missing here, guys? The willingness to keep growing, that's what makes a great father.
Yeah, so good. I mean, he just really nailed a lot of the things that I would say, but it's presence. And I think in this really distracted world, presence is actually a lot harder than we think. Most people are on their phones and they don't even realize they're on their phones, or they're distracted, or they're up in their heads. So actually really being with your children, huge. I think another thing is just the example that you give. Again, we're in this reckoning where as adults, I think we're all learning how to regulate our nervous system, learn about our emotional world, learn how to navigate conflict powerfully. And what better gift to give our kids than learning how to regulate their nervous system, learning how to be in conflict powerfully, learning about their emotional world. We're having to relearn this stuff as adults. What if our kids just know that inherently because that's how they grew up? So that's really what I'm focusing on with the women I'm working with, is how can we be a testament to what's possible, an example of what's possible as a woman. And so I'll translate that to fathers, being a testament to what's possible as a man. You can be successful. You can be connected to your partner. You can be happy, like actual happiness and gratitude, not just like, oh, I'm getting through the day, right? And then actually care about your children. Like a lot of people are, they have kids, and then there's people who are parents and really take on that role of, I care about my child's development. I care about our relationship, this family unit. And that's why I love what you're doing with Front Row Dads, because there's such intentionality of like, hey, I care about work. Business is important, but not before family. Family first. And like that pillar is so key. And one thing his dad may have messed up in a lot of areas, but one thing he got right was Preston always felt first in his dad's world. And that's a beautiful gift. It's a beautiful gift. And I think that's such a testament to, you can get a lot of things wrong as a man or a woman, but if you are really, truly with your children, they feel that. And if you're not, they feel that too.
That's what I want to just tap on for a second. Like our children right now, if we put 50 crystals on this table, they could name every single one. They'd be like, oh, that's amethyst, and these are the healing properties, and X, Y, and Z. And so what she's talking about, which I think is super important, is getting interested in the details of your child's life. Like actually knowing that they have a crush on Billy Ray or whatever it is. And like, all of that stuff to me is what universally makes someone feel loved. When you like memorize, right? Like today, this little boy came up as I was dropping him off at school, and I said, Tiago, good to see you, buddy. And Kingston watching me remember his friends' names, right? Oh, that's Oaks. Oh, hi, Genevieve. All the little girls and everybody comes up and wants to hug me because I have a hugging, kissing ritual with my kids. So does she, right? And so I think just getting entrenched in the details of our kids' lives, and this is the last piece I'm gonna say on it. If you can memorize and have your VSL and your funnel and all the different things, and you got the details of your business, but you don't have the details of your family, you messed up. You missed the whole game, bro. That's the piece. If you can hold these details, you better know these ones.
Talk about the hugging routine, and I think about last week. So Tiger's 15 now, and he's got these 3 buddies that they're all best friends. And whenever I see his buddies that are all 15, they all hug me. Every single one of them hugs me. It's so great.
So good.
That's cool. In my dinner with Chris, I was mentioning earlier, we had a really great conversation. He was telling me a story about a woman that was a mentor of his and a profound human who, I don't know who this is. I'd give her credit for this statement. And he said, of all your learnings, and every parent you've ever met, and like now that you're a grandmother and you've seen this from many perspectives, what is the thing about kids? And she
That's the difference between
You just have to
having
want them.
children and being a parent.
Yeah.
That is so good.
And so it really like
Ugh.
I come back to that now, and it's actually changing how I'm communicating with Tiger. I wish I could read you the text I sent him this morning, and I'm like, what message would just say I want you? And so that's and with Ocean, here's another great one. I don't know who to give credit for. When you're in the community now for 8
So
years,
hard.
by the way,
It's
it's
so
like
hard.
I have so many interviews
Like,
and
what book
live
was
events
that?
and
Podcast?
members, and like I don't know who to credit for these ideas, but that's fine. I think it's good, right?
Like, this isn't mine.
This isn't mine, but it's good. Is with Ocean, I say, if I were 9 years old, I would totally want to be your best friend.
Yes.
If I were 9,
Yes.
you'd be my first pick.
That.
But it's that whole thing of like, do you want me?
Yes.
A practical question around you doing these workshops is you have more children than I can count.
4.
And you live this dynamic life.
Mm-hmm.
You take time for yourselves, for each other. You have a beautiful community, a beautiful soul family. You have this incredible work, and I see you with your kids,
Yeah.
especially when we're at gatherings and I see you fully present playing in the pool.
Yeah.
It's awesome. And the question that I always get from men who join Front Row Dads and are stepping into this community is like, how do we look at our calendar? How do I prioritize? How do I get things done? How do I get that one-to-one time with my spouse, one-to-one time with my kids? I get to the gym. I can market my business. I can operate in my, I mean, it's
It's a lot.
so much
It's a lot.
to juggle.
Yeah.
So I know that's a difficult one to unpack, but it's like, how does mom and dad of 4 children under the age of
6.
we
We had 4 under 4 at one point.
I know. I remember that.
Crazy.
That was like, every time I got the chance to tell somebody that I knew somebody with 4 under 4.
Yeah. We have twins in there. That's how it happened, for
It's
any of you wondering.
Yeah. And beautiful kids, beautiful family.
Yeah.
Thank you.
How do you approach your schedule? How do you look at time in getting it all done?
I'll start.
Yeah, I'll just throw out a few key things and we can keep going back and
Yeah.
forth. Number one is I'm writing a book called Spiritual Millionaire.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I'm making the distinction of between a regular millionaire and a spiritual millionaire is a spiritual millionaire knows that they don't know it all or that they don't have it all. And so in that, they're willing to ask for help. So step number one, key to this whole thing and us navigating all of it is not trying to do it by myself. Yeah. Men have a tendency to want to be the lone hero, the Clint Eastwood, the guy on the top of the mountain who holds and does everything. And just that context that's still inside the drama triangle, right? So if I'm the hero, then there's got to be a victim and there's got to be a villain, and we're playing the wrong game. Mm-hmm. So it's asking for help, empowering others to support, because it's a village. And this sort of Western idea that I'm supposed to be the lone person who breastfeeds as a man and also, makes the money and does 12,000 different things. It's so stupid and outdated and it doesn't work. Yeah. So one of the biggest pieces for me is just going, I can't do it all. I can do a lot. And when I'm there, and a friend of mine asked me this yesterday. He said, "Hey, P, how do you..." Because every time I see you, you're like kissing or hugging or asking them. They fall on the skateboard or whatever. And you're like, "Do you need a hug?" And they're like, "Do you just do that all the time?" And my answer is absolutely yes. And they were like, "Wait, so you don't even wait to find out if they want or need a hug? You just are always..." And I'm like, yes. And the reason for that is I know that there's 2 things happening, especially when kids are young. There's procedural memory, like the stuff they'll go, "Oh yeah, when we were 9, we went to Six Flags and we did the thing." And then there's like implicit body memory. Yeah. And the body memory I want my kids to have is a masculine figure was always there, loving on me, kissing me, picking me up, dusting my knee off and saying, "Get back in the game." I just want my kids to feel like daddy is almost omnipresent. And so that's a big focus for me. And the teamwork piece, asking for help, for us, our lives are crazy. Some people have crazy lives. We have really crazy
We have
lives.
an extra crazy
If
life.
anybody ever came, anybody who actually really looks in, they're like, what? How does this work? That means that her and I have to have somewhat of an ironclad agreement that we're going to keep finding each other and meeting each other throughout the day. But really, our time is going to be this pocket, this window, either built out in the day or at the end of the night when we're debriefing and watching trashy Netflix stuff. And it's the last piece I'll say. I'll let her jump in. As a man, it's important that you hold the schedule of something that's coming too. Because I think that when you're in a partnership with somebody, just like even in a men's group, right? Let alone front row dads where you're like, oh, we know we have the retreat coming.
Mm-hmm.
Well, does your wife know that? Does your partner know that you have a staycation coming October 2nd or 3rd? Do they know that next year you're going to Hawaii at this point, and then you guys are potentially going to Ibiza at this point, and then you're going to do this thing? Like having stuff that everybody can look forward to creates spaciousness where you don't have to be the superhero for everything.
Yeah.